I want to go into some of the characteristics of people who do not fully have faith in what they believe in. You can call them hypocrites, you can call them fakers, whatever label you choose to place on them, that's fine. I just want to go into the characteristics of these people so you can identify them, so you could decide whether or not you want to share your energy, your time with them. Now, please understand, I'm not doing this to condemn anybody, any particular religion or ethnicity or anything like that. I'm going to speak about a certain situation that I encountered, and I just want to try to help you understand some of the mannerisms and the physical features and things that you need to look out for that fly in the face of their beliefs. They're contrary to what they're speaking. So that way you can kind of save yourself some time on trying to build a relationship with these people. First of all, pay attention to how they carry themselves. Pay attention to how they carry themselves. How they, the tone of their voice, how they walk. I've come across two different types of spiritual hypocrites who claim to believe in God, to claim to be Christ-like and everything else, but they're not because of the way they carry themselves. So you have to understand what you have in your spirit. If it's a very strong quality in your spirit, it's going to manifest itself physically on the outside, some way, form, or fashion. It might take a while to do so, but it's going to manifest itself through the body in the way of your bodily functions and the way that you carry yourself. It's going to show. It could show in the form of bad skin. It could show in the form of hair loss. It could show in the form of severe pain and disease. It could show in the form of just a bad, very, very bad speech, loss of hearing, your loss of your senses. That's another sign. These are manifestations. Now, I'm not saying that people that are going through this are fakers. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking specifically about people who claim they have a certain spiritual background and claim to be strong in it, but they don't carry themselves reflecting of that. And as a result of that contrast is manifesting itself in the body, because it's going to happen. What's on the inside is going to come out. It might take a year, it might take 10 years, it might take 15 or 20. That's why you run into people that you probably knew about 10 or 20 years ago who claim to be spiritual and involved in their, religion or their spiritual beliefs, but you know for a fact that they've been living contrary to that. They've been hypocritical to what they claim to believe in, and you see them 20 or 30 years later and they're unrecognizable because their features have diminished. Their physical features have diminished in some way, form, or fashion because what's in the inside is coming out. I've come across people who have a strong belief in God, Jehovah, Yahweh, based on whatever they were taught to label the Creator. And they've been faithful members of whatever, spiritual ritual, sect, or organization, or, whatever spiritual standard that they have, and they have been loyal to that particular type for years, but behind closed doors, when they get a free moment, they're doing everything and behaving in ways that's totally against what they preach. So they would preach one thing on the outside because that's their tradition, and that's what Big Mama did, and that's what Granddaddy did and everything else, but they will not live those words. They won't walk the walk, but they'll talk the talk. And years of doing that, what happened has literally rotted them from the inside. And when you see them decades later, they're unrecognizable because that rot has eventually come to the surface and is now seen to the entire world. And I've seen people who claim that, and these were people that probably were really strong in their beliefs and probably at some point might have criticized you, might have judged you, might have labeled you a certain type of way, Or maybe these were the type of people that just associated with certain types of people because everybody else is wrong and they're right. Those types. It could be a number of things, but they weren't totally living by those words. To the world, they were a fanatic, but behind closed doors, they did what they wanted because they were conditioned that way, because they saw that's how their parents lived. They saw that's how their grandparents lived. That's how they saw their great-grandparents lived. And they literally do not realize that they're being hypocritical, because based on tradition and what was being taught by them, this is what you're supposed to do. I mentioned this in the audio before, that Billie Holiday came out with a song called Ain't Nobody's Business If I Do. And in one of the verses it says, if I go to church on Sunday, and she said, and cabaret on all day Monday, there's nobody's business if I do. And she basically was saying what people were living. You went to church on Sunday from sunrise to sunset. You were holy, spiritual, and everything else. You went, and I'm not saying this against church. It could be temple. It could be your own prayer and meditation. When she said church, it could be a building. It could be. But I'm just saying, whatever spiritual ritual that you have on that particular day during the week, you're doing it out of instinct because that's what you were taught to do, but you did not live the words. So basically, she was just saying, okay, if I do it on Sunday and cabaret on all day Monday, y'all ain't got no business telling me nothing because I'm doing the right thing. That's the type of condition they were brought up with. Some people were brought up with the conditioning that, okay, I could do whatever I want Monday through Saturday. As long as I am holy and thou and give God praise on Sunday, everything is fine. And to them, that's okay, because that's the example that was put towards them. That's the tradition. Those are the values that were passed down from generation. They're not even conscious of the fact that there's a certain level of accountability and responsibility to actually practice the words that were being taught to them. They weren't taught that. So you, as a person who has a personal relationship with the Creator and is hip to these things, you're going to be able to peep these people out when other people aren't. There are plenty of times I've been involved in situations, professional and otherwise, where I would be involved in, let's say, a venture or something where I have to work with a group of people, and there'll be that one person that everybody just swears is great and wonderful, and I'm the only one that's thinking in the back of my mind, I can't trust this person. Only one in the group. I am the only one that the minute that I see this person, I'm thinking in my mind, why are these folks falling all over them? Can't they see what I see? But see, that was before I knew what I knew from spirit. That was before I understood the gifts of the universe and how to deal with things. I couldn't understand why I felt that way. So sometimes there were parts of me where I thought, okay, that's just me being paranoid of people. Excuse me. That's just me just not trusting people. That's just me, because I was conditioned to believe that the odd man out is the wrong man. And sometimes the odd man out is the only one left standing, people. Let me say that again. Sometimes the odd man out is the only one left standing. But now that I look back on it, I look back on situations where, it might not even be religion. It could be a social situation where I would walk into places and immediately feel a vibe, and I got to go. I've got to go. I'll make my apologies to the host or the hostess, and I will leave. And the times that I did stay and went against my own judgment, I would either start feeling really bad physically, or I would develop a really bad headache. That was a common occurrence. A really bad stomach ache, something that would manifest itself where I would have no choice but to leave. And then I find out later on some shit went down. Or I find out later on that something happened in regards to one of the people that were there, and there was some chaos as a result of that gathering or that meeting or that, whatever, or that service. And yes, I said service. So it's just a matter of you trusting what's on the inside. Don't let peer pressure from others in the group make you go against your own instincts. because you might be the only one to see things for what they are. How many times have you heard about situations in corrupt government when that person goes down, they're taking a whole bunch of names with them? And half those people that they take down with them, a lot of those people probably had the instinct from jump not to even get involved in that situation, but they ignored it because they got pressure from other people. And then now they're beating themselves upside the head because now they're involved in something they didn't even start, but because they got tied in with the wrong person, all of a sudden they're in trouble. Can you imagine the type of mental torture that is? So just watch the physical, watch how this person carries themselves and how they speak. Listen to the words coming out of their mouths. You had to throw a little humor in there. Get in tune with what your spirit is telling you. There's a reason for these things. And once you put this into practice when interacting and dealing with people, you will find that you will have a better, closer group of people associated with you, and you will have more peace in your life. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Have a great day.